Welcome. You're watching Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life, with your host, Danny Pabone and Rifle Scudder.
Welcome to another episode of Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life. As always, I'm joined here with my friend Rifle. Rifle, how are you doing, sir?
Doing very well. Thank you, Danny. After a wonderful weekend of amazing rugby, all is well. Thank you. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. Very excited
Excellent.
to have caught my first weekend of Six Nations live. It was very exciting, and I'm very excited to do a recap of week one of the Six Nations. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's get right to it, Rifle.
Yeah, you started with a very good weekend, my friend, to watch your first Six Nations after you know a lot of the rules and how rugby works now. You started with a very good tournament. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. It was amazing to watch and actually understand the game now instead of me just watching a bunch of
Yes.
men passing the ball, pushing each other. I was like, okay, I actually understand what I'm watching now.
Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah, that was pretty cool. So like I said, we're gonna get right to it, and we're just going to have a recap of week one, as we see here, of the Six Nations. And three games were played, or three matches were played. France against Wales, Scott, and that was on Friday. Scotland against Italy, and Ireland against England. And as you can see on the screen here, those were the three final scores of the matches. And so, Rifle, you're right. France really put a beat down on Wales.
Yeah, unfortunately, like we've been talking in our programs and episodes, in past, Wales at this stage really, really struggling. Australia as well. Australia doing much better, and I think because later in this year we have the British and Irish Lions tour to Australia. I think Australia are going to do much better than what people thought at the end of last year. But man, Wales is just in a very, very sad state of affairs. Their rugby right now, it's very sad. So France, I personally think, will win the Six Nations this year. That's just my guess. But Ireland going for the three-peat, trying to do it three times in a row, so that's going to be good. But unfortunately, Wales, yeah, shame they're struggling, and they
Yeah,
couldn't have had a worse game to start with. You're playing against France, in front. It's just it wasn't a good start for them. Shame.
yeah, it sure wasn't. And as we had mentioned before, France coming off their dominant performance in the Autumn Nations. And you had warned me that this game wasn't going to be pretty, and you were correct. It
For
wasn't pretty
once.
at all. So yeah, and
Yeah.
then so we decided to, in this episode, just to give a brief overview of the three matches, and we're going to start with that France and Wales match. Even though it wasn't that much of a competition, we did want to cover something that's very interesting, Rifle, and we're going to go to our next slide here. So
Very
everyone,
prevalent now in world rugby. A lot of people are talking about this. I watched different podcasts over the weekend after this, and
okay,
there's a lot of chatter about this very subject.
yes, there is, because one rule that is, and for lack of a better term, sacrilege in rugby is you cannot pass the ball forward. The ball always has to be passed backwards. And as you can see here, we are going to enlarge this here a little bit so that everyone watching the episode could see clearly. So let me just move this over here and bring this up. So these are screenshots of the play that we are going to talk about over the next couple of minutes and so. So as we see here, number 9, who is which remember everyone is the scrum half of the team by the name of DuPont, and I believe I heard that DuPont is essentially considered the best player on the team.
He
I believe
definitely
that's what
is.
I
There's a
heard.
lot of talk about him being the best player in the world right now, but he's definitely best scrum half in the whole world, hands down. Yeah, so
Okay. So we have who's considered to be one of the best scrum halves in the world, if not the best, DuPont here. And as we had mentioned in our previous episode, the ruck. So here, this is where the play starts. And as you can see here, the French player here pushed off the Welsh player in order to protect the ball from being taken away. So we starts with the ruck, and if we move to our next screenshot here, so I remember, and this is going back to when we went to the rugby clinic for kids, in which your son participated. I remember you specifically saying that in rugby, you want your defense to be in a straight line so that there are no holes created, and you don't want a rugby ball carrier running through a hole, and once they run through the hole, it's very hard to catch them. And right here we see a perfect opportunity for the scrum half DuPont. We see this big hole right here. And guess everybody what happens. Take a guess. So now we have an aerial view here, and it shows a better depiction of the huge hole that was created here and the lapse of defense in the Welsh team. So I don't know about you, Rifle, but that looks pretty big to me.
yeah, that's a nice hole there that's created, and obviously the pond very smart, sees it. He is extremely fast, extremely nippy, so he takes the gap, and yeah, he doesn't need but a millimeter to get past anyone. So a big gaping hole like that is just absolutely lovely for him.
Yes. So everybody saw they went from the rock. DuPont takes the ball. He sees a huge gap in the defense and starts taking off. And this is where Rifle just mentioned is a little what would you say, controversy, or I wouldn't say controversy, right? Or maybe I don't know what the right word is for it, but as everybody knows, you always have to pass the ball backwards in rugby. So from this aerial view, we have DuPont is right here where I have highlighted my cursor, and you can see that he already passes the ball. So when he passes the ball here, he's at the 5, about a step or two behind the 5-meter line. So we see here that the ball was passed already, and he's about a step or two behind the 5-meter line. Now, this is what has a lot of rugby fans scratching their heads. Now, what happens after this is you can see here that his teammate catches the ball roughly 2 meters in front of the 5 meter line. So DuPont throws it from here, and this is DuPont right here. He's at the try line by this time, and his teammate is 2 meters in front of where he passed the ball. So you would think the referee would say, "Oh, illegal pass," but that's not the case. This player scored a try from this play.
Yeah, and the worst thing of all is you can't see from this picture, but the linesman is standing right there where the 5 meter line is, the orange line. The linesman is there. I mean,
Yeah,
you can see everything. Yes, there where your highlights is. He's there.
he's
Doesn't
in this
say
area right
anything.
here.
So yeah, so I mean that is definitely the ball went forward. End of story. I mean, you could see it's a mile. It's 2-3 meters forward. So I went and looked and read and listened to everyone. And some people say because DuPont is in front of the guy when he catches the ball. So there DuPont is
Yep.
over the try line and the guy is catching the ball. His wing is catching the ball 2.5 meters behind him. So he's still in front of the guy that he passed to, which to me just doesn't make sense. But who am I? The ball went forward, but they didn't blow it. They let it go. So try at the end of the day, 5 points for France.
So playing a little devil's advocate here is if you go to right here when he passes the ball, this player is behind him when the ball is being passed. So it's interesting because technically the player is behind him, and when he catches the ball, the player is still behind DuPont. So it's like wow, it's like a it's like an illusion.
Yeah,
Did it happen? Didn't it happen? Is it okay? Didn't it okay? Is it for real? Is it not real? So yeah,
yeah,
so this was something that, like you said, Rifle was a point of topic for a few podcasters and fans alike. That you know, if we go by logically, you have to pass the ball behind you. However, your teammate caught it in front of where you started the pass.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
it's
remember
interesting.
last year in the autumn series when South Africa, the Springboks played England, South Africa got the ball and Afelele Fasi passed the ball and the Butcher caught it and he scored a try. But then they went back and they said, no, exactly like this. They said the ball went forward. Now, I mean, it wasn't like this at all.
Yeah,
Go watch it. I'm not saying that because I'm a Springbok, but goodness me, that wasn't allowed. And that was marginally, if at all. And here you got this, which is so, one asks for consistency. If in one game they disallow it or not even disallow, they took the whole try off the point system. It wasn't
hmm
allowed. They went back to the previous play, but this just went on. So as I say, I don't know what they're doing or how it works, but yeah, that's just the way it is.
yep, that's the way it is. And we just brought this as just an interesting point in the game. And just to cover again, re-emphasize the ball has to be passed backwards. But this play didn't make a difference. France was already ahead by a lot.
Yeah,
And even if they wouldn't have scored this try, it would have made a difference.
yeah. Wales, the first 10, I'd say maybe 8 to 10 minutes, they came out firing on all cylinders and they did well. But you can only hold that much for that long, and then France is just too good. They came pummeling through. So 43-0. That was a hiding.
Yes, yes, it was. And the other thing that I wanted to to highlight here in this game is um, here, and I remember me and Rifle were just messaging each other back and forth throughout these games and just commenting on different uh, at different times of the all three matches. And I remember you Rifle when this play happened, and this is a Welsh player who has the ball right here in the middle, and this is the try line here. So the Welsh team managed to actually get into the try zone and pass the try line. So they're in the try zone. However, the French team's defense was so suffocating that they stood the Welsh player up and he wasn't able to touch the ball to the ground. And remember, everybody, in order for a try to be official, you have to cross the try line and touch the ball to the ground. But unfortunately, the Welsh player wasn't able to touch the ball to the ground. The referee blew the whistle, and I remember you mentioning Rifle that it must have been so frustrating and demoralizing for the Welsh team to actually get to the try line, pass it, and still not score.
Yeah, it's hard when you play so hard, and they were on the try line many times, just couldn't get through. That is demoralizing. And then, as you say, not just to get there, but to actually get over. All you got to do is fall down and dot the ball down, but they don't even allow you to do that. That's heart wrenching.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember seeing this play live, and I just felt so bad. It felt like I was a Welsh player. I was like, ah, so close. So yeah, so I can't imagine them being on the field right there and getting so close, but no try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so close yet so far.
Yes, yes. Okay, everybody. So that was the France and Wales game. So the next game, which took place on Saturday, was between Scotland and Italy. Now, this game was interesting because, as everybody could read here, Italy really fought in the first half, and Tommaso Allen, which is he's number 15. 15, remind me again, is what position is 15 again?
Fullback,
Fullback. Okay. So
fullback.
he was charged with the kicking duties this game, and he had a very good game. He was the only reason Italy was in this game in the first half. Uh, was because he made three kicks, penalty kicks, correct?
Yeah, they were penalties, as the second line there says. Scotland, their discipline let them down a bit, so they scored. They did well, but every now and then they would just do something bad, do something bad, and every time their discipline went against them. 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. So a lack of discipline kept Italy in the game. They weren't too far behind. If they could get one or two tries, they could catch them, which they eventually did. I mean, for quite some time of the game, it was 19 all. So
Yeah.
obviously, not obviously, but they got a intercept try. But I mean, 19 all, and then Scotland came to finish off the game. But that ill discipline cost them a lot. And if you do that, if you're Scotland and you do that against a good team like France or like England, they're going to punish your island. You're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting. Again, I had messaged you, hey, Italy, this is a game now, 1919. And literally within 8 minutes of gameplay, after that, Scotland has scored two tries. I was like, okay, it's not a
Two
game
more
anymore.
tries, yeah. Yeah, no, they did. So Italy look good in the scrums. Their set pieces, they're always good. They're good scrummers as well. They like scrumming. Scrums are good. But as I say, just couldn't hold it to the end. 19 all. The intercept try that they got went against play. Scotland had the ball, they were attacking, and then just a little mistake there, and Italy got it and went through. So 19 all for a little part of the game, but Scotland too strong.
Yeah, they finished strong. They finished the game
Yeah.
strong. And there was one play here that I wanted to highlight. Again, a teaching moment for everybody is, um, again, this is a ruck that was formed between the two teams. You can see here where I highlighted, there's actually an Italian player that was tackled here. And this Italian player that I have highlighted, that's blocked by uh, I'm sorry, the Scottish player that is blocked by this Italian player here, is actually holding on to the ball. Because remember, everybody, once a defensive player tackles, they have the opportunity to take possession of the ball. And that's exactly what this Scottish player was trying to do. He couldn't take it away, but he was holding on to the ball, which prevented the Italian player. Because remember, if you get tackled, you have to release the ball quickly. So the fact that the Italian player was holding on to the ball, I'm sorry, the Scottish player was holding on to the ball. The Italian player wasn't able to release the ball quickly, and the ref blows the whistle, and Scotland is awarded a penalty.
Got to let that ball go. If you're tackled, that's why it's so important that your teammates are very, very close to you. You've got to be very, very near one of your teammates when they go down, so you can immediately jump in, either put your body over the ball so that they can't get behind it, or you got to literally pick up the ball and go forward. But he went down and was holding the ball because there was no one that he could pass to, and you're not allowed to hold the ball on the ground.
Yes, so very heads up move, and also another thing that plays into this is that's why many times when you see I've noticed, um, when you see a ball carrier tackled, one of his teammates immediately goes to him and pushes the defensive player off as quickly as possible. Because for that reason, you don't want the defensive player to prohibit your teammate from releasing the ball quickly. So, but unfortunately, in this case, these two players came to the ruck a little and that's the thing. It takes a split second too late, and this Italian player was able to, you know, not allow. I mean, the Scotland player was not allowed to let the Italian player release the ball quickly. So yeah, it's very interesting. I just wanted to highlight another teaching moment in the game.
Good, it's a good one.
So that game ended in a 31-19 score.
And now,
And
obviously, Danny, this Saturday coming now is going to be Italy against Wales. And I'm really, really looking forward to that game because, you know, yeah, we still got quite a ways to go in this competition. But my personal opinion is it's between these two for the wooden
mhm.
spoon. I think they're the only two teams with 0 on the point log, and
Oh,
they're going to play with everything that they absolutely have, for pride, for the jersey, the nation, for everything. But also, you don't want to get the wooden spoon knowing it's only week 2. So that's going to be, I think, a very, very good game. I think they're going to go all out, and definitely it's going to be interesting to see who wins that one.
interesting. So it's going to be a good game for not the reasons most people watch sports for,
Yeah,
because you know
not who's going to win, it's not who's going to not lose.
who's not going to lose. Because most of the time, when people say, "Oh, this is going to be a great game," it's because two good teams are going to play each other. You don't know which one is going to win.
Yeah,
This is the case as well, but it's
right.
the other way around. Who's not going to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that yeah, we shall see. We shall see. And the third game of the weekend, and this was the many say this was the game of the week, if you want to call it that way. And look, if if the audience didn't see the game, they would say, "Hey, this is a pretty close game. It must have been a pretty close game." That's not necessarily the case, although there was an unfortunate call against England, and all of you know, Rifle is a huge England fan, and when when Rifle when Rifle messaged me, oh, Irish got lucky on that one. I was like, wow, it must have been a really bad call against England. So yeah, so in this particular call, this was doing a line out, and the English captain was called for pushing a player in mid-air. Remember everybody, when a player jumps in the air in a line out, you are not allowed to touch them or push them until their 2 feet touch the ground again. And the player that jumped up did get pushed, but it was by his own team and not England. And I guess the ref saw that the player in the air get pushed. He thought it was an English player. The English captain was the closest player to that player in the air, and he called a penalty on the English captain.
Yeah,
And
Itoje, he's the lock. So, that's where the ball went in the middle of the lineout where Itoje was.
yeah,
But as you say, he didn't do anything. He was just, watching the ball playing. He didn't do anything, didn't push. But obviously, someone pushed the Irish jumper, and the ref saw the movement and then blew his whistle. Sorry, blew his whistle and gave a penalty against Itoje in England. And they didn't do anything wrong. So that was really tough against them.
and what makes it more critical was the Irish play. They scored a try off of this right shortly after this. So I mean, who knows if they would have scored a try anyway? But it definitely gave the advantage to the Irish team
Mm,
after this penalty call.
yeah, England came out well. Their first, their last, man, goodness me, the whole autumn series, doesn't matter who they played, they were for 60 minutes, 65 minutes, they were the best team without a doubt. And then in the last 20, they lost the game.
Yeah,
And I was watching the same, and I was thinking, and that the try when they started going behind happened in the 65th minute on Saturday. So they came out strong. They looked good. They were hungry. They were aggressive. They did well. Their little wing, their debutant, he scored on his first game, first almost move, a nice little grubber through by the center, and wing picking it up and scoring in the corner. What a start for England, and everyone, England's back, and it's England, they've been back for the first 60 minutes in the last 6, 7, or 8 games that they played, but they just need to learn to hold out till the end of the game. They need to finish the game off. And once again, that didn't happen. And as you said, if you looked at the score here, you would think it was closer than what it actually was. Because I think that maybe Ireland knew that there wasn't enough time and England couldn't win. So they kind of took their foot off the petrol at the end, and their discipline became also a little bit of an issue. Their defense became sloppy. And in the last, what was it, 10 minutes, England scored twice.
yeah,
So if you take
two
two tries
tries.
away, 14 points away from that, it's quite a thrashing. But it looks pretty close. But as I say, Ireland by then they knew that the bonus point, they had everything they wanted, couldn't lose. So maybe just took their foot off the petrol a bit, which wasn't good and never is.
Yeah, 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 and yeah, they gave up two tries in the last, yeah, I believe 10 minutes. So again, 10 minutes left in the game. Like you said, the score was 27-9, I think it was, or 8.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there you can see that England was leading half time, was 10-5 to England, but they just seemed to go to about around about the 60-minute mark, an hour, and then something happens. I don't know what happens with them.
Yeah, and the other, and again, I wanted to highlight this play because this play was a thing of beauty to watch live. And again, these are screenshots. So I'm just gonna make this a again enlarge these again, and just wanted to show this because I appreciate. Uh, there's nothing better when a play is perfectly timed. And this is one of these instances where a pass was perfectly timed, and I'm gonna show you here. So again, this is the scrum half for no, is this the scrum half for Ireland? Can't
Number
remember.
9, yes, Gibson Park.
Okay, so this was the scrum half for Ireland. So
Yeah, he's a
again,
New Zealander.
we have a player that's tackled, a ruck is formed, and this sorry, what's the player's name again?
Gibson Park.
Okay, so Gibson Park. As you can see, everybody here is the ball's coming out, but after the ball comes out, he doesn't pick it up, quickly. He's waiting for like a second or two. And the reason he's waiting for a second or two is because back here you can't see because before the play, Gibson Park looked behind him. Again, these are screenshots, so you can't see this. There's another player back here that's out of the screenshot. Now look at what happens. Again, perfectly timed play. And so we're going to go to the middle screenshot here. And that player that you couldn't see on that first screenshot comes up, and this is the ball who's going to become the ball carrier. This is the scrum half. Passes it perfectly at the perfect time. Because as you can see here, again, what's created? A gap. So the scrum half looks back, see his player is waiting and ready. He sees the gap in here that's in the defense, waits for a split second, and at the right time, and you can't see it here, but there is still a big gap here. It might not seem like it in the screenshot, but there is still a pretty decent gap right here. And of course, what happens? He takes the ball and scores a try because uh, there's no other England player that could catch up to him, and he eventually scores the try.
You go back to
So
the first picture, Danny, where they set it up. You can see how smart they are there, what they're thinking.
okay,
So there you can see the big prop, Genge. He's the first player on the other side of the ruck.
so right here.
No, go to the right, the English player.
Oh,
More back, more back, more. Next one, that one. There's
okay,
Genge, Ellis
right
Genge.
here,
So he's a prop. So he's one of the biggest guys on the field. And then if you look to the guy even further than him, that's Cunningham South.
right here.
Yes. He plays, either lock or is the back row. He's sometimes flank or he can play eighth man. He's one of the biggest guys on the field. Both of those guys are gigantic.
Mm,
Genge is a prop. He's not the fastest guy on the field. Cunningham South is big. He's not there to move like a wing. And you can see already there's a little gap between the two of them. You can see there's just like we said with the pont. All you need is that little bit of an opening for you to go through. So you can see there, Ginter Park, he's waiting. You can see that gap there. And now when he takes the ball and he passes it to James Lowe, which is their wing, one of the fastest players on the field, when he comes through with speed, I mean, you can't have those two big forwards all of a sudden now turn around and go and catch. So this was just bad from England, the way that they set it up. You got two big guys with a little bit of a gap, and Ginter Park sees that, sorry, and takes full advantage of it. And there's Lowe through the gap there, and he's gone.
Yep. So this is the player you mentioned. His name again?
Yes, yeah, Cunningham South, yeah.
Cunningham's Mouth.
He's a big guy. I mean, he's huge, and he can't turn around there on a dime and go and catch him now. So first of all, you got Lowe running into the ball with speed. So
And
he's
this
got
is
momentum. He's got speed. No, the Irish guy with the ball.
no, I'm saying, but this was the other guy that you had mentioned as well.
Genge, no, Genge is now, he's tackling probably, yes, I guess that's
Oh,
him.
right here. Okay,
So he's
yes.
taken out. Yeah, he's completely out. He's not even there anymore. So he's taken out of the play. So Lowe's like open, big gate right in front of him and just loving it.
Yep. And I just wanted to I just wanted to highlight this play from from Ireland because again to highlight, you know, in episode number 19 in which we interviewed Justice Smith, who's Richmond, Virginia. He's a youth coach and also a referee. He One of the things that he preaches is defense. Show up your defense. Make sure there's no gaps because you leave any little gap. If you have a fast ball carrier, you're not gonna catch up to them. They're gonna be
Right.
gone, and they're gonna score a try. And any little gap, you gotta make sure you cover all your gaps. So
Right. And he
this
was
this was a
teaching
thing
that
of
to under
beauty.
nines and under tens, and this is international level. So it doesn't go away the older you become or the better or the bigger your team is. That is rugby 101. Your defense must be touching arms so there's no gap in between the two guys, and especially around the scrum. If you've got two big guys who can't turn and you've got a wing coming through there, it's very, very difficult to defend that.
Yep. So the gap and just the ability of the scrum half, the Irish scrum half, again to look back, look forward, see the gap, and it's like the scrum half and the player behind them who ends up carrying the ball. It's like they gave each other a signal. Hey, there's that gap there, and as soon as the ball carrier comes up like 2 feet from where the scrum half is, boom, pass and right through the hole. So
Yeah,
perfect timing. It was a
brilliant
thing
rugby.
of beauty. Yep.
Ireland are brilliant with that. They're very good with that move.
So yeah, so again, that's just a play that I wanted to highlight because it was a theme of beauty, and if anybody gets to uh, watch the replay, you're gonna agree with me. This play was just a theme of beauty to watch live.
Yeah, hats off to the Irish.
So as you can see here, the final score was 27-22, and that was the final game of the weekend, week one. And week two is again the game you just mentioned a few minutes ago, Italy and Wales. Everybody's anticipating um, that game, but not for the reasons you would think. So I'm still rooting for Wales. Come on, Coach Gavin, you got to win the game.
Yeah,
I think 13 losses in a row now.
yeah, they've lost 13 in a row now after
Ah,
Saturday. Yeah,
man, that's just
and that's,
painful.
I think the last time I read, I can't even remember the stat, was in the 90s that they had zero, couldn't even, not even a penalty kick. So zero. So it was in Australia, I believe, back in the 90s that they were held to a zero, not even being able to get a kick over. So that's very sad.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game to see.
Yeah, all these games are. I mean, there's a whole new thing to look at this weekend. Obviously, England and France. It's going to be a great game. England, can they do it? For so long now, they've, after every game, we've seen some good positive things. We've done some good things on the field. We just need to finish it off, and they haven't done it. So can they do it? I think they got a little bit of an issue with number 10, Marcus Smith. I think a lot of people thought that he was going to do better. At one stage, he also just did something silly and got a yellow card against him. So England, within 10 men, he had to go off. So, but just his play itself, people say he's a good playmaker. He's good on his feet. He can think, but he didn't do that great. So, is he really the guy for them? So that's in the matchup between England and France. We'll see what happens there. And then, Ireland against Scotland. I mean, those two always big rugby nations against one another. Ireland, for now, they've got to see their number 10, their fly half, because they've got to choose between Sam Prendergast and a Crowley. Crowley played last year. Prendergast is new. They're both young players. Ireland was very fortunate in a sense of they were almost like Green Bay was. They had Brett Favre for 15 plus years, and no other quarterback played but Brett Favre. And then when he was almost at the end of his career and starting to retire, you had the young Aaron Rodgers that came in. And then you had Aaron Rodgers for 15, 16, however many years he was there. And then Jordan Love came in. And Ireland were in the same shoe or the same boat as them, because they had O'Gara for many years, and he was their fly-off, and he was great, and no one else played. And then when O'Gara was almost finished, then you had Johnny Sexton coming, and then he played for so many years. So they had two fly-halves for ages. And now they didn't have a youngster who was groomed to take over from Johnny when he retired, Sexton. So now you have these two young players in Prendergast and Crowley, and they've got to, there's another guy, but these two played on the weekend. So they've got to fight it out to see who's going to be the best. Both of them doing good things. Prendergast putting over a pressure kick. He put a good kick over. So it's going to be interesting for Ireland to decide who's going to be their number 10, or are they going to play both of these on different fields and different situations or circumstances in the game. So that's going to be interesting to see on the weekend for Ireland. So a lot of stuff to look into, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well, especially that France and England game. It's gonna
Yeah.
see if France is able to make it look relatively easy. Um, then I have to agree with you. France is gonna take the Six Nations this year.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Very interesting indeed.
So yeah, so it's gonna be very interesting, and again, I'm excited to continue watching the tournament this weekend. So yes, everyone, that's a little recap of week one. Looking forward to week two, which is this weekend, from the time of this recording, and looking forward to continue to break down these games and just continue to learn the rules of the game. It's very exciting.
Will be good.
And
Yeah.
again, I'm rooting for Wales. Come on, Wales.
I've
Yeah,
got my
get that
Wales
one
jersey
win.
on tonight.
So, with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of week one of the 2025 Six Nations. And as always, thank you, Rifle.
Very welcome. Wonderful to be here. Hope everyone enjoyed that and learned something.
So, with that, everyone, until next time, and take care.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you for watching this episode of Rugby with Rifle. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to support this podcast.